Okay, let's go on to vaccinations, if that's okay with you, Eric.
Okay, so I'll just do just introduce it. So it was announced that foreigners would be able to get vaccinations free before August now, and then it's after August. So we're not really clear when the foreigner will be able to get it from the government. So the vaccines that would be available would be the AstraZeneca from the UK and Sinovac Biotech from China. So people were going to have to register. They're building a new app for the foreigner, which is going to be in English, and they'll be able to register in August. But it's going back and forward all the time. So there's approved vaccinations, which are Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Sputnik,
Moderna, AstraZeneca.
Yeah. So, but the other ones outside AstraZeneca and Sinovac will be sold through hospitals, and it's going to be around between 3,000 and 3,500 baht for both of the injections. But there's another one that's coming ahead, was going through tests, I think in the US, which is Novavax, and it's still under trials at the moment, and it seems to be getting a lot of press because of its delivery system. So, first question. Just now, people are very confused and scared as to what vaccination is safest and effective for them. And we discussed this before about people having underlying conditions. So you mentioned things like diabetes, is that diabetes type 1, type 2, maybe it's heart condition. What kind of things should they be concerned of? Because they're worried about this big sort of media frenzy about blood clotting. What's your advice to people on this? Which ones should they take? Difficult question.
What's the difference?
And what's the difference?
Yeah.
Sure. I'm going to simplify it. Actually, if you go to our Bangkok Anti-Aging International Facebook page, I actually did I did a video on this to try to simplify it for people because it is very frightening. So basically, from the information that we have now, which, as you know, changes all the time, we do have an idea of which vaccines produce more effective antibody, and which ones produce less antibody. In order of effectiveness, it's Pfizer first, Moderna, and Sputnik is actually right under there too. And these produce the adequate amount of antibodies to about 95% of the cases, okay? If you go down further, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, and then all the way down at the bottom, Sinovac, which produces about 50% of the amount. Okay, so here's the thing that I tell people. Taking a virus or taking a vaccine, I'm doing what you're doing now, taking a vaccine is not like taking an antibiotic that's going to wipe everything out. Okay, totally different way. What this vaccine is doing is presenting you with the defenses to kill a virus once it enters your body effectively to the level that your immune system does it. So for young, healthy people, younger than us, if they ask me, which one should I get, I say, get any one you can get quickly. Because in younger, healthy people, that small increase in antibody production is probably going to be enough for them. And they would have fought it off anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also understand that people who are asymptomatic are not good spreaders of COVID. You have to be symptomatic to really be able to spread it well.
Wow.
For people in those upper tiers of age, the people more towards in their 60s, I'm 61, and in their 70s, well, then you want to get a vaccine that has a higher efficiency of production of antibodies, if possible. Once again, that would be the Pfizer, Moderna. AstraZeneca is not bad, but it's not as good as, it's probably good enough, but it's probably not as good as Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson. So, to make it very simple, if you're young and healthy, you don't have any diseases, all you have is rational or irrational fear of COVID, get any vaccine. If you can get Sinovac, get Sinovac. It'll probably give you enough defenses so you never have to worry about COVID. If you're an older person and you have risk factors, try to get the more effective vaccines. And, hospitals, the private hospitals like Bumrungrad and PF8 and B&H and Bangkok Hospital, they are ordering Pfizer and Moderna, allegedly, because they're sending things out and a lot of the expats are registering for it. as far as the question of when that's going to happen, I have no inside information on that anymore.
I didn't think you would actually, but so, I mean, so us oldies and your aging clinic must be doing well because you don't look 61 for a kickoff. So you've been taking
I get high on my own supply, man.
Yeah. So would you say for older people, stay off the Chinese one if possible? But I don't think in Thailand we get a choice.
If you're going from the government, you don't get a choice.
Well, what they're trying to do, at least for Thai citizens, is if you're over 60, you get AstraZeneca.
Okay.
Which does have a higher level of antibody production, and I think it's probably fine. But like I said, for older people, especially if you have diabetes, heart issues, or any kind of chronic disease, then you want to stay on the more effective ones. But here's the other part of it. There's so much that you can do to make your own immune system better that you should be doing. It's really, really simple. You should be taking vitamin D every day, 5,000 units. That alone is going to limit the severity of a COVID infection and limit the severity of COVID affecting your lungs, which is why people die from COVID, right? It's a bad lung infection. You take zinc every day, 15 milligrams. That is going to increase your immune capacity and your healing capacity as well. You take vitamin C, 2,000 milligrams a day. Vitamin C, I've been given vitamin C intravenously since 1992.
Okay, I think we've just lost Erik just for a second there, but we'll keep on talking and just go over quickly what he's just been talking about. That was interesting. Asymptomatic don't spread. Asymptomatic, sorry, don't spread as well.
Less spread as well, yeah.
Well, because I mean, I thought they were the dangerous ones because they're going around everything in the world's wonderful, lovely. I haven't got it, and they have, and they're giving it to everyone. But there's a less chance of them spreading it.
Yes, that's
so
right.
That's nice to know.
And it's also it's good to know about for your different ages. And also with AstraZeneca. I mean, we'll go on to the delivery methods and things like that, but people are concerned about the blood clotting and that kind of thing, which is very, very minor, 1 in a million, from what I hear, But you can
when you mean the delivery methods, do you mean the grab?
No, I don't mean by injection, but how it delivers within the system once you get the injection.
Yeah, I'm back again.
Okay, right. There we are. Don't worry, we've just had our own conversation for the last couple of minutes. Don't worry about that. Okay, carry on with the.
I hope it was pleasant. Listen, what I heard you said, asymptomatic people do spread, but not effectively and not efficiently. Okay.
All right.
It's the same thing with HIV. HIV, when you lower the amount of virus in the body, people don't spread HIV sexually. It's the same thing.
That's interesting.
With the guys that I keep hearing about this Novavax, and it's talking about the delivery system because it goes into, I think it's nanoparticles or something like that, nanocells. As opposed to attaching to proteins. I don't know the detail, but people are. I'm not sure the effectiveness of it, but it's been under trials. What is this different delivery method they talk about?
Well, I haven't had enough time reading about Novavax or information with it yet, so I'm going to have to skip that topic.
That's perfectly okay.
All right. So shall we go on to once you're vaccinated? Can you still spread it, and can you still get the virus? Well, I know with the efficiency of the vaccination, can you still spread it? Can you?
If you're vaccinated, effectively vaccinated, no, likely you don't spread it. And in fact, in California now, they finally even lifted their mask mandate for people who are vaccinated. And if America's doing it with, the strict paranoia that they have, then it's got to be well studied by the CDC. So no, once you've had the vaccine, you will not spread the virus.
That sounded a silly question.
No, not at all, not at all. Once you have been vaccinated, you will not spread the virus. Can you get it again? The question now is going to be how long you can maintain an antibody response, and that, since this virus is 1 year old, still needs to be studied.
Yeah. Can you see a time when you have to take it yearly? You'll have to take it annually.
Yeah, I imagine there's going to be. I imagine it's going to go into the same thing that the flu did, where they're going to tell the at-risk people, yearly to get your COVID booster.
Okay.
But that's to be seen, because it was the same thing with the flu. Every year to make the correct flu shot, what they have to do is to get the 6 most popular variants of the virus put them together and make that, so you got the most popular vaccine. It doesn't work everywhere, but it works effectively enough to create herd immunity, which is what we talked about before.
Okay.
So
the idea is to limit. Yeah. The idea is to limit the amount of hosts who can support the virus.
Yeah, so this is the thing about the boosting. With all one thing is with all the different vaccines, some people are saying, well, if I wait a little bit longer, the science will have improved and it will be better. So some people are not taking it, and some people don't believe in it, or religiously, or whatever it is. Yeah, they may not take it. And the other thing is that people are saying is, well, if you've got all these different types of vaccines, how are they going to have a common booster for everybody? Yeah, or you have to get a booster from a particular company that made it, a Johnson & Johnson booster, AstraZeneca booster,
Sputnik.
Sputnik booster.
Just like the name of that. Yeah.
How does that work?
What it's going to morph into, if you look at history, is they're going to take the top. They'll do the research for what are the top mutations and variants at any given year, and then they'll try to put it together to make kind of what they do for the flu shot. So you get the coverage for the most popular variants of the virus around. That seems to be the only thing that makes sense. Business-wise, that makes more sense for the vaccine companies to do as well, so that they don't get limited to only one strain.
So you can see this COVID thing, which we've all, like up to our neck in it and fed up with the whole thing, sort of the paranoia dying off a bit, and it will be in the future at some point be treated just like the old flu from the old days, where you got your flu jab once a year, which was trying to keep up with the new variants, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Yes and no, because this is a very strange. Most coronaviruses, if you look at the other coronaviruses, this is nothing new, right? Because we had SARS, we had MERS, we had H1N1, right? So we have these coronaviruses, and if you look at their history, they all died out within 2 to 3 years.
Yes, they did. Yes, correct.
So if you ask me, like, why did they just suddenly die out? It's an interesting point when viruses don't have that kind of longevity, because they actually mutate themselves out of existence, right? In order to get one mutation to spread more, that mutation may also affect the longevity and the lifespan of the virus. This is the way history works, so that we don't all die from the plague, right? This is natural selection.
Yeah.
So every other coronavirus, like I said, 2 to 3 years had its lifespan, and boom, it was gone. This one, unless it has been an engineered type of virus, which I don't want to get into the conspiracy theories, but they do abound. If somebody was trying to create the perfect weapon, they got really close with this one, right?
Yeah.
So we have to see if this one dies out as the other coronaviruses did. If not, then yeah, it'll probably go down to the who's at risk, let's protect them. We'll go to the nursing homes, go to the old people, go to the diabetics, go to the doctors who take care of old people, and we will prioritize it.
Okay, we've got a couple of more questions before we wind it up.
Okay, so just now we've got all these vaccines coming in, and every country, it goes through their FDA, Food and Drug Association, to basically authorize it to be used in the country. If so many countries are using the same vaccine across the world, like as an example of AstraZeneca, why do they have to go through the FDA and delay the whole process of being able to distribute that vaccine?
Politics, my friend, politics.
It's ridiculous.
No, I mean,
it delays the whole process.
Yes and no. A couple of reasons. Number one, every country has a process for allowing medicines to be given in their country. Now, the Thai FDA, the Thai pharmaceutical industry has been growing at a whopping 15% every year. Okay, it's massive. Now, the one thing Thailand did that was very wise is they created an FDA that has an incredibly high standard. The reason they did this is because if they have Thai drugs now, they can distribute to the rest of Southeast Asia with credibility, right?
Yeah.
So if you become a hub for drug distribution in your region, there's a lot of money and success in that, and it's a great thing to have. So I did some research on this before, and the Thai FDA has rules that cannot be bypassed for foreign medicines coming into Thailand, or for a medicine that comes in that has not been tested. And regardless of if it's emergency, regardless of if you need it tomorrow, it does have to pass these rules in order to be pushed forward. The speed at which they move when these things happen is beyond me. That has to do with the government and the amount of people there. Now, as we also know, there's a financial side to this. And if you can produce a vaccine in your own country, it's certainly going to make a lot more money for the government or for the private industry than is to import it and pay the tariffs and just distribute it to the people. So I think it's somewhere there within a mix of the FDA rules and the attempts to make sure that your country can produce it for itself.
Okay. All right. One question is, I've been looking at different non-vaccine sort of solutions, and there's been mention of this product called Ivermectin. Yeah, Ivermectin. All right, got it all wrong. Ivermectin. Yeah, it's like getting your pronunciation of your name right as well.
I'm going with Erik on this one.
All right. So what is this about? It's supposed to be reducing symptoms and things like that, and it's actually used for animals. Yeah.
But it's also Ivermectin is an anti-worm medicine. So of course animals use it more than people do, but people in Africa use it extensively. You know, in Africa where I worked for quite a while, you know, just worms are endemic and people have to deworm every few months or every month, right? So they use ivermectin. So ivermectin is an anti-helminthic, which means anti-worm medicine. And although it has not been studied extensively in this regard, it does appear to limit the ability of the virus to replicate. Right. And so if you look at the official warnings from it, you see when people start using a drug that is not FDA approved for that drug, governments and drug companies get very, very nervous and they put out warnings right away. Number one, because they don't want people to die if there's any adverse reactions. And number two, they don't want it to influence the industry at that point for the direction that their medications or vaccines are going. Now, in India, what's very interesting because of the number of cases there and the lack of medical facilities, they actually have these COVID kits that include ivermectin when people are sick. They got vitamin C, they got, maybe they got hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, that's
vitamin C, right? But they are including ivermectin in it because anecdotally, it seems to be working. And safety-wise, this drug's been around forever. You know, it's been around for 70, 80 years, and people buy it over the counter. And of course, you know, if there was an over-the-counter drug that would kill you, they would take it off the shelves.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it has a safety profile in the grand majority of people. It's over the counter. So if it works and it's in an emergency situation, then yeah, you should take it. But you do have to weigh the risks and benefits of not having an official recommendation for it. Okay. Now, when we were treating HIV back in the day, before we had any antivirals, we had to do the same thing. There were certain drugs that we had to try, like thalidomide and other things we were using, that would hopefully have an effect on the virus, you know, and be benign enough where they weren't going to hurt anybody or cause very bad symptoms or diseases. So that's where ivermectin is right now. But there's a lot of belief in it. Personally, I think if I was a person at risk, I would probably take it. If I was, I'm not taking it now because I have a very strong immune system and I'm young and vital, so I'm not that worried about it. But if somebody was in a situation where they were going to be exposed to COVID and it was unavoidable, then yeah, I think I probably would take it.
And that's available here, right?
Yeah. I saw even saw it in Lazada. Yeah. So I think as a final question, with all this going on, yeah, and the way Thailand is approaching things just now, when do you think we can get back to some normality? Obviously, you can't say specifically, but in your guess, do you think the way they're going, we could be back to some form of normality in the middle of next year? Because I'm hearing we can't even fly until 2024.
Well, Andrew, you did hear in the introduction that Andy gave that I'm a doctor, not a politician, right? Was there any part of that introduction that let you think I was in politics? Because
yeah, but you've had your brush with politics, no doubt. So I know
I've had my brush with politics.
We're not hanging on your word that you know when it is, but do you have your own personal idea? Do you think?
All right, my own personal idea. Let's look at America. America had a fantastic vaccination program for over 360 million people in America. They're now over 50% vaccinated. And if you look at major cities like New York and Los Angeles, everything is open now. People wear masks, people don't wear masks, and they are once again thriving until something breaks through. If a vaccine doesn't work or if there's a new variant that's not vaccinated, we don't know the future. But predictably, at this point, they're doing quite well. The speed at which Thailand can vaccinate its people and then create a rule for vaccinated people who come into the country will be equivalent to the speed that this country gets back on its feet. We had all hoped that this would happen. We all hoped that this would happen 4 months ago when a vaccine was out, but for whatever reason, the vaccine program did not thrive as we would have liked it to.
That's another side of the story that we won't go down that way. Well, first of all, I know you're a really busy man, so we are so grateful that you spent some time with us and our viewers, because for me personally, forget the viewers, I know much more about it, and I was never panicky because I never go out. But not much anyway. I'm one of them. I stay at home really, but we feel so much more comfortable. So first of all, thank you very much, because I know your time is valuable. You're very busy. Also, they can look on the description below for the website, which is the Bangkok Anti-Aging Clinic. Is that the full name of that?
Bangkok Anti-Aging Center.
Okay. And viewers can look on the description below.
I'll provide the link.
Yeah, you provide the link.
I
don't know.
Sure. And we have, just to put a plug in, we have 3 branches in Bang Na, Sutisan, and in Siam, the clinic that I am, which is right next to MBK. We are doing a tremendous amount of immune boosting IVs and procedures and supplements every day. And like I said, in my experience doing infectious disease for over 30 years, strong immune system means no infection. So don't sit around and wait for a virus when there's actually something you can do to.
And eat well, diet.
No sugar. Cut the sugar out of your diet. Sugar is the cause of all evil.
Plenty of salads, fruit.
I'm just the messenger, man. But if you cut down sugar, you will not get the infections, because all these things grow on sugar.
All right. Well, we'd love to have you back at some other point to talk about all this other non-COVID stuff that is so helpful. If you're willing to come back on at some point, we'd love to have you back, Erik. So
absolutely. Getting to sit and talk to 2 handsome gentlemen in the morning is always a good part of my day.
So, he's going to be paying your center a visit. I don't need it, but. Okay, so once again, Cup Cum Cup, thank you very, very much indeed, and we hope to speak to you in the future. Thanks a lot, mate.
Thanks very much.
All right, gentlemen. Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.